We will add him, and yeah, Juan Miguel from Mexico will tell us a little bit what's happening there. Yeah, hello, Juan Miguel. And yes, talk about yeah, what's happening for banks into financial super applications. I hope you're
Thank
doing
you,
well.
Mehdi. Thanks for having me. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you share your screen with us?
I will do so right now. So good afternoon, Europe. Good morning, Mexico City. There we go. Can you see me all right?
Yeah, everything is perfect. The stage is yours for 25 minutes.
Perfect. Thanks so much, guys. So I'm the CEO of a joint venture between Rappi and a bank in Mexico called Banorte. It's a banking in a super app play, which I'll describe in a little bit more detail. For those of you who haven't heard about Rappi, it's a last mile delivery app that is now valued at a few $1 billion, raised an impressive $1 billion round about a year and a half ago. So that put him in the map of startup enthusiasts and has been killing it ever since. So I have the privilege to be part of this journey. And I'll tell you a little bit about my predictions for the industry and banking and super apps. So we've heard Bill Gates a few times today, and I'm pretty sure we'll keep hearing from him later in the day. But I'm not sure that banks will go away, really. I think the interactions with the banks are the ones that are being eroded, right? And Anthemis from London put it quite nicely, saying, instead of financial services being yet another sector that becomes internet enabled, embedded finance will allow all sectors to become finance enabled. And that's essentially what's happening with Rappi. It's an e-commerce platform that's starting to offer financial services. And you might think, yes, this is something we've seen in China. I mean, Alibaba and Ant Group are a phenomenal story, right? Ant Group is just poised to make the largest ever IPO history. And that's kind of the game we're in. Combining e-commerce with financial services. And it just makes so much sense because you already have millions of customers recurrently using your e-commerce platform. Couldn't you solve financial problems for them and then start branching out? So these super apps hope to become the Swiss Army knife for daily life. In the case of Rappi, you can order groceries, you can order food, you can buy trips and do all kinds of things. And now you can also do your banking in the same place. And that makes a lot of sense from a unit economic standpoint because the marketing cost of acquiring these customers for each new vertical is virtually zero, which is the main cost for any fintech out there, which means as a fintech embedded in a super app, you can give a lot more value back to the customer than any other fintech already out there. So a few people have put together some predictions of what the future of embedded banking will look like. And for some reason, everyone in the industry seems to be super excited about voice interfaces. I have my own point of view with all the love and respect I have for Temenos. I'm going to show you a video of what I think embedded banking is not going to look like. And I hope it works, guys. I'll just show it for a minute. So bear with me if it doesn't.
So, what have I got on today?
Your first meeting is with Martin. He was CIO at a bank before he set up his own health tech company. He's just moved the meeting to your offices, and there is traffic by the school. Shall I get a car here earlier?
Yeah, sounds good.
This evening you are out with the family for Amanda's birthday.
Did you order the gift I picked out?
Yes, it's wrapped and is still on track to be delivered to your office before lunch.
Great, thanks.
So this is a virtual assistant built by your bank. But on the race for virtual assistants, I think the banks will face stiff competition from GAFA, as we can see here.
Customers are stopping by the bank less often, opting to go online instead.
Hey, Google.
And now, you may not even need to look at a screen. U.S. Bank is rolling out features that allow customers to do some of their banking with their voice.
The ability to access U.S. bank accounts, check balances, and even make a payment on your credit card.
Hey, Cortana.
But many are uneasy about the idea of digital assistants accessing sensitive financial information.
A lot of potential hacks or awkward situations when it comes to money are entirely possible.
Credit card companies American Express and Capital One also have features on Amazon devices. But U.S. Bank is the first financial institution to roll out on all three: Apple's Siri, Google's Assistant, and Amazon's Alexa.
Once you enable the skill, you'll still have to log in with your online banking credentials. You'll also have to come up with a 4-digit code that you'll say out loud in order to access your banking features. Now, it may be tempting, but it's probably not a good idea to make your smart speaker code the same as your other PIN numbers.
Right. So I don't know. I would put my money on the large tech companies when it comes to virtual assistants that really take over the admin in our lives. But I don't think we really need to make it a matter of voice commerce or voice-enabled banking. I think that the example from China is quite clear, and it's an app that works like this. I realize many of you must have seen this video already. I'm just going to play a couple minutes, and that should be it.
Amazing that Western apps are trying to copy them. And the greatest example of this is WeChat. WeChat is an example of, for lack of a better word, a super app. It's a Swiss Army knife that basically does everything for you. It's your WhatsApp, Facebook, Skype, and Uber. It's your Amazon, Instagram, Venmo, and Tinder. But it's other things we don't even have apps for. There are hospitals that have built out whole appointment booking systems. There are investment services. There are even heat maps that show how crowded a place is, be it your favorite shopping mall or a popular tourist site. The list of services goes on basically forever. But it's not the variety of things you can do on WeChat that makes it so powerful. It's the fact that they're all in one app. So why does that matter? Hypothetically, imagine you're sitting at home and one day you notice your corgi is dirty. You open WeChat, hit a few buttons, and a few hours later a man shows up at your door with some shampoo and a big vacuum. Your dog gets cleaned and he looks great. You take a photo, you share it with your friends, and tag the dog cleaning business. You haven't left the app. Your friend who likes Hello Kitty and works a boring office job is slacking off at work and looking at WeChat. She sees the photo of your clean corgi. She decides she wants her poodle clean. She clicks the tag on your photo and orders the same service. Within seconds, the man with the big vacuum is on his way to her house. She pays him, and he's happy because he got paid instantly on WeChat. She starts chatting with you to thank you. Neither of you have left the app. While chatting, she tells you about a new hip noodle joint. She says, you have to come. It's a schlep, but you accept. She orders food while still at her desk. You order a taxi. She pays for the food. On the way to her house, the man with the big vacuum invests the money he earned from both of you into a wealth management product that's probably a little too risky. Neither of you nor the man with the big vacuum have left the app.
All right. I hope you guys were able to see those videos. If not, this was going to be a really awkward presentation. But I stopped at right at the point where the guy with the big vacuum invests the money through the app. This is all on WeChat. Now, in Mexico, using some data I found on Google, not official data, but I think it's indicative of how much delivery and last mile delivery apps have grown during the pandemic. It's become a lot more mainstream to have things delivered. And that means a lot more people are recurrently using last mile delivery apps. And that makes them, makes these apps, puts them in a really good position to offer financial services. And if you look at Rappi, I mean, you can have all kinds of things. You can have, as I mentioned, you can buy trips, you have a sex shop, stationery, sports stuff, alcohol, and anything really that you need, you can just order and have it delivered straight through your door. If you look at Europe, Uber Eats is prevalent almost anywhere, and you have different players dominating different countries, and really nothing is preventing Delivery Hero from perhaps even using APIs from Starling or Monzo or Revolut and offering financial services through their platform or doing their own thing, right? And if you think this is a little far-fetched, let me remind you of Uber Money. Sadly, Uber Money had to close down during the pandemic, but Uber saw exactly this opportunity, decided to go for it, and then things changed. But this could be born again, and I think they would have lots of unfair advantages over other players. So if I were a bank, I would be really thinking hard about how I might participate in a super app play rather than resist it and fight it with my banking app that only does banking and perhaps not offers the best customer experience there could be. So are you guys ready? I'll break for any questions. Hopefully we'll have enough time.
Yeah, Juan Miguel, thank you very much. I was not sure if it was the ending slide, the last one. So yeah, I kind of strongly agree with you on let's say a lot of people try to depict a kind of a future that is not exactly what we often may imagine or see, right? So I totally agree with it. But let's say that so it seems it's about who distributes, who controls. So, there was a great HBR, Harvard Business Review article about, it's the end of the producers. In a world of connection and networks, the one who owns the network that reach the customer is actually owning everything, right? Any producer is just a commodity. So is it a little bit what you are trying to share with us? Like, the last mile delivery, or, every time someone is close to the customer, actually, he's the one the best to feed the customer.
Completely. And this happened to telcos, right? I mean, I use WhatsApp all the time, and I don't really have a relationship with my carrier. I have a relationship with WhatsApp, and it doesn't happen gradually. It happens quite suddenly. So WhatsApp went from like 2% market share to 98% market share in certain countries in about a year's time or 2 years' time, and if it weren't for the fact that telcos sell us data, it'd be in a really tough situation. And for a long time, telcos have been resisting becoming a dumb pipe and fantasizing about having deep customer relationships. Well, they're just a utility. And I don't mean this in a despective way or anything. I think banks are going in the same direction as well. So if you're a bank, you have different strategies. One is become a super good dumb pipe. Become the dumb pipe of choice. And don't even bother fighting for the customer interface. Let others do that. And you become the platform upon which they build the last mile delivery service, if you want to call it that. And we have examples of this in Solaris Bank, for example, headless banks that provide all the bases upon which entrepreneurs can build solutions that face the customer. So I think that's it's just a bulletproof way of looking at the future if you're a bank. If you want to compete for the user interface as a bank, I think you're going to face an uphill battle because exactly as you described, the banking itself is becoming more and more a commodity, and there's always going to be someone out there willing to offer their banking pipes to someone with a great interface where customers already hang out and transact. And you see, if you're a super app that already has millions of customers doing a bunch of things there, it's not only that your customer acquisition is zero, it's not only that your operating costs are a fintech's operating cost and not a bank's operating costs, you also have a bunch of data. And that data allows you to make better lending decisions, more customized offers. If you have unrecognized charges and it was a bad customer experience, you send this customer their favorite dessert, you say, we're sorry for the inconvenience. It's just the level of experience that you can provide on this platform does not compare to what just a pure banking play could ever offer, for reasons of legacy and many other reasons.
So before taking Simon's question in the chat, one question here about, you said dumb pipes. This should be the dumbest pipe possible. And the dumbest pipe possible, pipes possible, do we call it infrastructure, like AWS for banking, like no gatekeeper, Yeah.
Exactly. So I think for a long time, it's been really a matter of ego and not a matter of strategy to want to own the customer. It's such an anachronistic term, which is still used in banks, owning the customer. What do you mean owning the customer? You might own the customer interface, but that's about it, right? And not wanting to be a dumb pipe is just a matter of positioning. You might call yourself a state-of-the-art infrastructure as a service or platform as a service or banking as a service provider, and you're essentially saying the same thing.
Yeah. Question from Simon Torrance, our keynote from this morning. What financial services will Rappi make available to its customers?
You will find out very soon. So
what you can share
Colombia,
with
I can share some. Yeah, for sure. So Rappi had been dabbling in closed loops for a while and wallets and so on. We just announced a credit card in Colombia. We have a debit card as well. And we're going to be offering, I guess, the most obvious things that one could expect from a platform such as this in the next 6 months. And we'll take it from there, really.
Okay. We have a question from Vasilis. Does Rappi do proper banking level KYC to its customers, anticipating use of banking products?
Yes. So it's quite likely that several entities within Rappi will gain banking licenses and become just, absolutely compliant with all the standards, but also capable of doing anything a bank can do.
Yeah. Again, question from Simon. Again, please answer it according to what you are allowed to share. But how proportion of Rappi's profit could financial services be in 5 years' time? It's really about the model here.
Well, if I play my cards right, financial services could become an even more valuable piece of the business than the core of the business itself. And it varies country by country. In Mexico, financial services are very, very lucrative. In other geographies, not so much. And also it varies from product to product. So interest rates in Colombia, which is where Rappi comes from originally, are capped, for example. In Mexico, they're not. And in Brazil, they're much higher than in Mexico. So that's actually led to the success of Nubank, which started out in Brazil and is also soon launching in Colombia. So I guess it's a long way of saying we're hoping to replicate the Ant Group story in our continent.
Also, I have a question about from an example, but I'm originally from France, and in France we have a car manufacturer that has not been profitable over the last 10 years. Let's say the EBIT and EBITDA is negative, right? It's not positive, but the company finally is profitable thanks to financial products and actually to the car mortgage, the car, stuff like that. So it seems that sorry.
Yeah, car loans.
Yeah, car loans and stuff like that. So it seems that they are not profitable on what they do, but they're profitable by owning the customer attention for financing what they do, right? So is it what the examples? Is it the example that you say that as long as you are close to the customer and you own its attention when it's time of banking or finance, right? Then okay, financial services can be part of your business.
Absolutely. Any platform that has recurrent, constant contact with customers will be able and should look into offering financial services. And in an age of APIs, that becomes easier than ever before.
Yeah, we have a question from Andrew. He said he knows Rappi, and he said that in order to enter in the app environment, third-party providers needs to integrate into Rappi's pre-designed environment by API. So with that, companies inside the app lose their identity to the customers to a certain extent. Do you have plans to change that model?
Yeah, I was thinking about this actually. So we're not yet the platform for third-party providers, but it may happen in the future. We want to get the basics in place and then take it from there. I think once we run out of obvious opportunities, we will create the conditions for entrepreneurs to help us tap into those opportunities where we just haven't been creative enough or don't have the bandwidth to go after those customers.
Yeah, and again, I would add to it, because at least in my executive consulting practice, I have the question a lot of the time. It's also that with the API, you may surrender, when you integrate someone else's system, you may surrender your branding, for delivering the capability and be paid for that, or reach their customers, right? So more reach, but you lose the ability to be visible or to be like a renowned, recognized as your brand. So yeah, that's a trade about what's the reach you earn, but also what's also the brand reach you lose, because customers may not be able to know actually what's behind the scene, right? Or in branding, because actually it's the end goal of a platform. A brand is something a user can trust, and so without verifying everything. So actually every platform has a brand responsibility to deliver a unified experience. So every time you will integrate the third-party ecosystem, you will have to face the brand and visibility guidelines of the platform. So yeah, it's kind of common, and it's part of how platforms also capture value in the business.
Absolutely. It's, in the case of the Apple App Store, for example, everyone's aware of the fact that they're buying their apps from the Apple App Store, and the Apple App Store ensures certain standards. And I guess that works for Apple, so it could work for others too. But there's always a certain tension between, again, like if you're a platform like Rappi, would you want to lose that customer relationship to a third party? What level of involvement do you want your brand to have in there? What level of standards do you want to guarantee? And you can go like full-blown marketplace and it's a free-for-all, or you could maybe have something in the middle, which is a bit curated, where you select one or two specific partners for this service, or one or two specific partners for that other service, or just do it all by yourself, maybe even white label stuff that you just stick your brand on, but essentially comes from a third party. So there are a bunch of horses for courses, I would say.
Thank you very much, Juan Miguel. Thank you. It was really insightful and debunking some myth about what the future may be. Thank you very much. And you had a lot of questions there. It just reminds me the GAFAnomics study, who say that there is no product, they're just customers, right? And at some point, their goal is just to deliver to these customers if you control their attention, right? So whatever the product that you build or other build, but you deliver to them. Thank you very much, Juan Miguel.